Welcome to the Histories of Northamptonshire podcast series, and this episode number 69. Recorded on location, each episode tells the story of one of the many and varied objects which are the focus of the exhibition A History of Northamptonshire in 100 Objects. The exhibition runs at the Northampton Museum and Art Gallery between the 20th of September 2025 and February 2026. Selected by local individuals, heritage groups and the museum's own curators, each object tells a different story from the county's past. And so, to our guest for this episode. Georgina, tell me who you are and how you relate to this particular object.
Well, I'm married to David Jeyes of the Jeyes Fluid family. I've come by the tin because of the museum, and it's full of information.
All right, you mentioned the tin. Describe the object to me.
It's a rusty, old, battered tin of Jeyes Fluid. It's as simple as that. And it's so valuable because of the information on it. And it tells the story of two brothers, Victorian brothers, Philadelphus and John.
And the Jeyes Fluid is something that is emblazoned across the tin. So this is a container, a shop-bought container. It's a gallon of Jeyes Fluid. So from your point of view, the importance of the object isn't necessarily the tin, it's what's inside. What was once inside this particular object?
Well, it was Jeyes's fluid, which is or was liquid gold. Really, the amount of jobs it did around the house, hospitals, all over the world. But John Jeyes sold his brand and his name, so he gave away liquid gold.
So the object is a container for something that bore a family name, and it's a name that you bear today.
Yes, it is, but the brother John who sold his name and his brand, it then rebounded on the family in Northampton because they weren't allowed officially to use the Jeyes name. But there was years and years of litigation to stop Philadelphus Jeyes using his own name. And in fact, he won.
So he was able to use his name?
Yes. And for years he got round it by the new Jeyes Company, Sanitary Compounds in London, was an apostrophe. And that's all it took to make the difference. So Philadelphus Jeyes carried on using his name, using an extra apostrophe S.
The fluid itself, how did that come to being? How, therefore, did it end up being in the exhibit that you've got in this particular exhibition, which is really and truly, as you say, a battered, rusty container?
John Jeyes was not a pharmacist, but he was an analytical chemist. He was also a philanthropist. He wanted to go to London and clean those dirty streets of Victorian London.
You mentioned this particular object, this container, a 1-gallon container. It just came into your hands. I'm slightly surprised to hear you say that. Was it literally just brought into what is now Jeyes of Earls Barton in the here and now?
Yes, and that is how we've acquired a lot of the museum items in the shop. We've never bought anything. It just comes in with people knowing the name Philadelphus Jeyes and John Jeyes and Jeyes Fluid. They're sorting out a garage and find something unusual and bring it into us. And it goes in straight away in our collection.
Jeyes Fluid still exists to this day, although it doesn't have the same connection now to the family perhaps that it once did. Is it still the same fluid?
Yes, I think it did change for a while, EC regulations, when we were part of that. And it's now owned by Henkel of Germany. I will say that in the war, Jeyes Fluid was purchased by the government, disinfectant Jeyes Fluid, to swill in the trenches, to clean the lice from the soldiers' uniforms. But now, as I said, it's owned by Henkel of Germany.
It's changed sides.
It's changed sides. That's the twist in the tale.
Jeyes Fluid was seen as a panacea to almost all things, and you got the attention as a family of an awful lot of people, including royalty, because there's a crest on this exhibit, and that must be very important to Jeyes as a family and indeed to the business as it was.
Yes, it was, and it still has a royal warrant, and it has never been broken.
How does this particular object make you feel when you see it as part of the exhibition, telling the stories of this county?
Very proud, and we love sharing the story. People have stories of what they use Jeyes Fluid for, and that is fascinating. It is used for a myriad of things.
This was an exported product. That must make you feel very proud.
Yes, I wish it was us that did it. It did all over the world, and the awards the product won, what it was used for, where it went. It even cleaned up some races where there was a pandemic of some description. All sorts of things are listed in this book I treasure called John Jeyes, The Making of a Household Name.
And it is a household name to this day. Admittedly, it's no longer in the family's hands. Is that a slightly bittersweet feeling for you, looking as you do at this exhibit which bears your name?
Not bittersweet, it's just that's life. You know, businesses get sold. We're Jeyes, and we hang on to that image of Jeyes, which we're very proud of. It went to Jeyes Sanitary Compounds. It's been to Cadbury Schweppes. It just goes to multiple big organisations.
So Jeyes Fluid has had an impact on royalty. It's had an impact on corporate organisations, as you say. It's had an impact on people all over the world in their homes. What do you think Jeyes Fluid says about Northamptonshire, given that this is telling the stories and the histories of Northamptonshire through 100 objects?
Northamptonshire was John Jeyes' home. So everything started in Northamptonshire and it carried on. They lived in Northamptonshire. He provided furs from all over the world for the family home. It was a family business. Nurseries in Northampton, in Kingsthorpe. He had nurseries. So he was involved in many products in Northamptonshire and factories. At Kingsthorpe, the glue factory, that was John Jeyes. He dabbled in all sorts of scientific products to make money, but unfortunately, John didn't do that well. I read somewhere that he was inept, but he was an entrepreneur, but not a good businessman.
But nevertheless, the Jeyes name has been known all over the world. It's now emblazoned on this slightly sad-looking object, but it's still very much intact. Do you happen to know, Georgina, whether that many of those 1-gallon cans still exist? And are you interested in acquiring them?
This is the only one I have seen of this type ever. We have one, and that's the only one. Obviously, then the corporate image went blue, and it's still very similar with each product that comes out in the Jeyes range. It's still the blue and yellow. And it's now coming up soon for 150 years since Jeyes Fluid was invented by John Jeyes.
Which is a huge milestone. We've mentioned already that Jeyes Fluid is now the product of a different company. Does that company keep in touch with you? Do you still retain the family connections to the product, albeit through a different owner?
Not at the moment, not since Henkel. When it was Jeyes of Thetford, we had quite a lot of communication with them, and they used our museum for filming the award, the John Jeyes Award, which happens every other year, and in some filming as well for the 140 years film. We supplied quite a lot of products for them to help them with their filming. But we maybe could and should and will take it to another level. Why not?
Georgina, it's a fantastic story with huge repercussions, and the ripple effect of the Jeyes name has been heard across the world. It's fascinating that there is only this 1-gallon-sized tin that appears to exist. Maybe somebody will approach you after this particular project is at an end and will say, well, hang on, I've got a few of these knocking around in the shed outside, in which case I'm sure you'd be very interested to hear from them. Do you do anything to protect this item? Because it is starting to moulder. It is starting to, shall we say, show its age, or are you just going to leave it as it is?
We're not very good at wearing white gloves for everything in the museum. We just love sharing everything we've got. It's just what we're about. It's good fun. Yes, it's battered, but but so am I.
Georgina, it's a fascinating story. It's a wonderful exhibit to bring all those stories together. Thank you for telling me about it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to this Histories of Northamptonshire podcast. If you would like to find out more about the objects or listen to other episodes in the series, go to www.northamptonmuseums.com. Alternatively, you can visit the Northampton Museum and Art Gallery, where you can see the A History of Northamptonshire in 100 Objects exhibition for yourself. The Histories of Northamptonshire project is funded by Arts Council England as part of the National Portfolio Programme.